The name is Mr. T. First name is Mr. Middle name is that period. Last name is T. Listen and listen good. I'm talking to you.
Hi, I'm Retro Steve UK, and in this video we'll be having a look inside another classic issue of Look-In magazine, this time from the 7th of January 1984. Look-In was the weekly magazine for teenagers that gave us TV Times type content in a kid-friendly format. And if you grew up in the 70s, 80s or early 90s, Look-In is likely to have an important place in your memory. Looking inside these old magazines today, we're provided with a time traveller's insight preserved in paper and ink into the pop culture, news, music, sport and TV shows from a very specific period of time. And looking at this Mr. T issue today, we'll be unearthing some long buried memories as we're transported together back to January 1984. And don't forget there'll be chapter markers along the video timeline, so you can easily skip around to different parts of the video if you need to. Page 1, the front cover, is designed to draw in potential readers on the newsagent's shelves, with a big, bold Look-In logo, a striking picture of Mr. T as B.A. Baracus from the A-Team, an overview of the contents, and of course the nitty-gritty cover date and price details, which in January 1984 was still a pocket money friendly price of 22p. By comparison, a Beano today in 2024 costs £3. Turning over to page 2 reveals a full-page board game, which is actually an advertisement for Friar's Sweets, including jelly bombs, midget gems, jelly babies and wine guns. Page 3's Here You Are section features readers' submissions, including drawings, photos and birthdays for the week. And the readers' birthdays are listed along with some celebrity birthdays from the same week. There's also a small box-out apology for this week's price increase from 20 to 22 pence. And I particularly like the picture of Asif Parker's brother superimposed into a baby's pram at his request. Apparently, and I quote, "He is always calling me a baby, so please do it because he gets on my nerves." The Rock On Tommy cartoon strip graces page 4 and 5, exploring the adventures of the 1980s comedy duo Cannon and Ball. This week they're causing chaos at a local supermarket. Turning over, and we have the double-page Switch On section, with features about current and upcoming TV shows, including a brand new series called Fraggle Rock, Family Trees, which traces the genealogy of the child guests on the show, Cannon and Ball from the previous comic strip, Michael Aspel's Child's Play quiz show, which had contestants guessing the mystery subjects that various children were talking about with hilarious results, another brand new show called Do It, which attempts to challenge children to do and make things they've never tried before, and finally Chucky, which I'm sure most of us will remember as the ITV miniseries for kids about a boy called Matthew who is possessed by an alien entity and given amazing mental abilities. On pages 8 and 9 we're treated to a full-colour comic strip. Terrahawks was the Jerry Anderson puppet-based TV show about an Earth-based defence force fighting against an alien invasion led by the evil Zelda. This one's a weekly serial, so the story would continue periodically from week to week. The next two-page spread is our fun assortment section, with puzzles and quizzes, jokes, one of those slightly dodgy-looking free stamp pack adverts, and a competition to win one of 100 Mr. T action figures. The prizes in these competitions were usually provided by the toy companies, with the competition itself being a convenient way to cheaply market their toys to the kids reading the magazine. Another black and white strip over the page here, When They Were Young, is a standalone story featuring Nick Hayward from Haircut 100. These strips explore the younger days of various celebrities, briefly charting their rise to success. Next week's celebrity, as it says at the bottom right here, will be Lamal from 80s pop band Kajagoogoo. Pages 14 and 19 here are visible together because I'm missing the poster pages from this issue. I do have digital scans of those though, so I'll share them on screen in a moment. As it is, we can see the double page listings of some of this week's TV highlights, with an additional box out down in the bottom left about Christopher Biggins's show On Safari, and a reader's letters section down the right hand side with £5 postal orders and junior reporter certificates for the featured letter writers. Pages 15 to 18 are the poster pages, and whoever owned this issue originally obviously couldn't resist putting this week's A-Team poster up on their bedroom wall. I did manage to find digital scans online from a website which I can no longer get to due to my virus software throwing up alerts, so I've decided not to share the link here, but I can show you the missing pages which I downloaded about a month ago. Page 15 acts as an intro to the poster, with details about the TV show and its characters. Pages 16 and 17 are the double-page poster itself, which, as you can see if we flip it around, shows the 5 main characters in individual boxes. Bosco Albert Baracus, better known as B.A., John Hannibal Smith, the Faceman Templeton Arthur Peck, Howling Mad Murdoch, and Amy Amanda Allen, a reporter for the LA Courier who meets them in the pilot episode and sticks around to provide ongoing support for the team. Page 18 provides intros and info about each of the 5 characters and the actors who played them, with some genuinely interesting details that I'd never heard before until I read this page of the magazine whilst preparing to make this video. Over the next 2 pages, and we're greeted by a black and white Knight Rider comic strip. I'm sure this TV show needs no introduction unless you're too young to remember the 80s, in which case you probably won't be watching this video. Knight Rider was essential viewing for any young person back then and is still a well-known part of pop culture even today in 2024. The regular sports spotlight section this week features ice skaters Karen Barber and Nikki Slater, with details about their successes and failures, training schedules, their choreography, costumes, and the music that they skate to. Interesting stuff when you actually look into it, and I'm not usually much of a sports fan. One of my favourites on page 24 and 25, Danger Mouse. This colour comic strip is great for fans of the popular TV cartoon, and let's face it, who wasn't a fan? This one's also a weekly periodical, with DM and Penfold going up against Puss in Boots this week, thanks to Baron Greenback's insidious plan to bring pantomime characters to life to do his bidding. Reading this even now, 40 years later, I can still hear the voices of the TV characters in my head as I read the words in their speech bubbles. Our brains really are a mine of useless information. We've got a double-page Thompson Twins feature over the page, with full-page photos on the left and an article on the right with interview quotes from one of the band members. Technically, you could have cut out the left page and used it as a poster if you were a big fan of the band, and if you didn't mind defacing the Danger Mouse comic strip on the other side. Bugs Fizz get their regular comic strip entry again this week in glorious black and white, with their ongoing adventures taking them on a train journey that's tainted by potentially supernatural premonitions and spooky shenanigans. Coming up to the final stretch now, we have a full-page advert on page 30 for PGL Activity Holidays. I never went on one of those, but I remember seeing the adverts in magazines and comics for many years. If any of you went on a PGL holiday, I'd appreciate a comment to let us know what you thought of them and whether they were any good. I was a bit shy as a youngster, so wouldn't have relished the idea of mixing with a load of kids I'd never met before in a strange and unfamiliar environment. The inside back cover, page 31, is the look around wrapping up section, with features on VHS videos, books, music albums, and a free time article covering things that you can do and submit for publishing. And there's also a small article linking to the PGL holiday advert on the previous page. We also have a heads up for what's coming in next week's issue in the pink box out on the right hand side, the most exciting of which is a free gift, a Jungle Book album and stickers. Cool. The back page finishes off this issue with a picture of footballer Glenn Hoddle and a list of his vital statistics, which you can cut out and keep if you want to ruin your magazine permanently. Bit of an anticlimax for anyone not into football, but perhaps a highlight for you if you were a Tottenham Hotspur fan. So there it is, Look-In magazine from the 7th of January 1984. These mags are fairly easy to get hold of even today, and with a quick eBay search you'll find old copies of Look-In for around about a £5 or so. I'll probably be covering more of these magazines in future videos, so watch out for those, but if there are any other old magazines, comics or other such publications you'd like me to take a look at, feel free to mention them in the comments. I'm always open to suggestions and I'll happily add your requests to my brainstorm list for future consideration. I asked for your thoughts about stuff from this issue, or indeed about Look-In in general, and here's what you lot had to say in the community post section of my YouTube channel. Cool Hand Luke is evidently excited about the Mr.T issue, simply commenting fantastic with a thumbs up emoji. Gary Lawless used to have Look-In reserved at his local newsagent in the early 80s. He remembers enjoying the articles, had many of the pin-up posters stuck on his bedroom wall, and reminisces about how grown up it felt having your own TV guide in a publication that was more like a magazine than a comic. Two Purple Shadows mentions Terrahawks as a favourite, alongside other Jerry Anderson TV show favourites, Space Precinct. Andrew Mills never used to miss an issue of Look-In. Mod Trash reminds us of his favourite ice lolly from the early 80s, the Mr.T Cola Ice Lolly, which apparently no one else seems to remember. I have to be honest, it's one I can't remember, but I feel I should. Andrei Tupolev quips about the Ice Skaters feature, suggesting that perhaps Look-In couldn't stretch their budget to Torval and Dean. Sophia Ahmed points out the similarities between Kit from Knight Rider and the Cylons from Battlestar Galactica, with their similar looking red chasing lights in the front grille and helmet. And last but perhaps least, Stickman Matt at Longman420 simply posted an emoji of a wizard holding a magic staff, which I'm going to presume is a way of saying that Look-In was magic. If you have any thoughts or memories to share of Look-In in general or any of the features from this issue, post them in the comments and we'll have a natter. And if you want to be featured in a future retrospectives video, follow me on my various social media platforms where I'll be asking for comments whenever I'm working on something new. I also have a Buy Me a Coffee tip jar if you'd like to say thanks with a small gesture. You'll find all the links in the video description. So we'll finish up now with a few words of advice and wisdom from the star of this issue, Mr. T himself. But first I'd like to thank everyone who shared their comments, to thank you for liking and subscribing, and of course to thank you all for watching Retrospectives.
Mr. T here, and I got a question for you. Have you ever wanted to believe in something, even though you knew it couldn't be true? Did you ever want to believe it so bad you didn't pay attention to what your common sense was telling you? Well, that's a good way to get into trouble. Always check the facts, then you decide. That's a tip from me, Mr. T. Only fools brag. Bragging just shows you can shoot off your big mouth. If you're great, people will know it. You don't have to tell them anything, just like I don't have to tell you. Understand? Good leaders know what they can do, and they know what others can do better. They share the work and share the credit. The point is to get the job done, and done right, not to hog the glory by doing it all yourself. Take it from me, Mr. T, knowing when not to quit. That's always harder than throwing in the towel. Don't assume you can't handle a tough situation. You don't know that until you try. But you can't solve your problems by running away from them. That just makes things worse. Not just for you, but for everybody around you. And that's a tip to you from me, Mr. T. And if you think somebody gonna hand you something for nothing, you're wrong too. Having talent is just the beginning. It takes education, dedication, and determination to be a success. If you work real hard, you can become the best that you can be. And that's a promise from me, Mr. T. Control your weight. Don't let it control you. Eat smart, eat good, and you'll be smart and look good. And that, ladies, is the trick. So when you get your feelings hurt by somebody you love, think a minute before you cry and moan about your own feelings. Because the person you love might be the one who's really hurting. Take it from me, Mr. T. Listen up. Sometimes life gives you a bad fortune, but you can't let it get you down. You just keep pushing and everything will turn out just fine. Take it from me, Mr. T. You think all Indians are the same? All Latinos the same? All Chinese the same? No, Indians aren't the same either. And you're making a big mistake if you expect folks to be something that they are not. So don't ever judge somebody for what they are, but who they are. And when you meet them, don't expect them to be. Let them be. But listen up now. This is serious. When you're tempted to do something wrong, even if the reasons are good, think twice, because you never know how things will turn out. You might be getting yourself and everybody else into a whole lot of trouble. Do what's right, and you can't go wrong. Take it from me, Mr. T. I get angry just thinking about it makes me mad. Little kids doing drugs, it turns my stomach. That stuff hurts. It stops you from living up to your potential. It holds you back. It hurts the user. It hurts his family. And it hurts his friends. I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and thinking about using it. So remember, don't, or else. Okay?